other ingredient to add to the pot that's holding our exploration into the inward, the outward, and connecting. And it's a story about a man called Jabbatai. Now Jabbatai was not a young man, but since the earliest time he was enthralled by the story of King David and his magic harp. Now the story goes that King David had a magic harp that hung in the high branches of a willow tree outside the window of his chamber. And the wind would come and blow the strings, and King David would be inspired to write or to take some action. Now, Jabbatai asked his mother over and over to tell this story. But as he grew, it so happened that he became a maker of harps and lutes as his work to earn a living. But the call came so loud and clear for him that even in this advanced age, he decided that he was going to go and find King David's harp. Now his family told him, "This is just a legend, it's just a myth. You're following a mirage." But Jabbatai was not to be deterred. He took a staff that he had fashioned himself, some dates and a flask of water, and he set out for where it was said that the tree, the willow tree that held the harp, was located, and this was Babylon, far, far away from where he lived. But he made this journey, and of course we know that he had many, many trials and tribulations and hardships along the way. But he finally arrived in the great city of Babylon. And there he looked for the willow trees that were along the great river situated there. But he went from willow tree to willow tree to willow tree and found no harps. He was tired, worn out, and did not know where to go from there, thinking that this was the place that was spoken of. So, dejected and fatigued, he sat. But then the inspiration came to him to go to those shrines which dotted this great place, to seek guidance from the great sages who were buried there. So he went from shrine to shrine, beseeching each of those great and learned saints to give him guidance. But none came, except one night he felt a presence behind him, and when he looked, he knew that this was another worldly figure. And the figure asked him, "What is it you're seeking?" And Jabbatai related that he was looking for King David's magic harp. And the figure said, "But you are looking in the wrong place. It is located in Zion." Now, again, Jabbatai thought, Zion is figurative. There's no such place. But in fact, the strange thing was that it was said that Zion was located where he came from. Confused, but realizing there was no choice for him, he returned from whence he was and made his way back to his home place, where he was greeted by his family. But he did not speak of his experiences to any of those who were his family. But deep inside of himself, he pondered Zion. And then suddenly he realized that although Zion was figurative, there was indeed a Mount Zion in the place where he resided. Though he decided to climb Mount Zion. When he did, there was a place that was covered in willow trees. And he went from willow tree to willow tree to willow tree, but no harp was found. But then, strangely, he seemed to be guided to a certain tree, and behind that tree was an opening to a cave. Now he knew that he had to enter this cave, and when he did, although it was dark and unknown to him, it seemed that he could hear a faint sound. So he followed the sound, and it led him through the dark labyrinth of the cave until it came to a place where suddenly he found himself out in a garden so extraordinary that he had to blink his eyes because there were willow trees everywhere that could be seen, and in each there hung a harp. But somehow the sound that had guided him through the cave led him to a great tree, and when he looked up, there in the tree was the harp, and he knew in his heart of hearts, this was the harp. This was the sound, the wind, as it strummed the strings of the harp, were a sound that he knew so well. So he sat beneath this tree, and it is said that he sits there still. So the question that arises from this story is, what does the harp and the willow tree represent for us? The harp and the tree, what are its meanings for us? What is the sound that's led you on, even when we faltered and fell down? The sound that led us on in the tree. What is it that a tree represents? Tree of life, harp and the tree. Could you ever forget? Are we allowed to forget? What is this sound? What is this magic